evidence leader to start to lead you in the presentation of evidence. Honorable Malema.
Thank you, Chair. I thought you'll also ask if Mr. O'Sullivan has got a company, people who have accompanied.
Or people who have accompanied him.
And if they are here, in which capacity, and can
know what he's saying.
Introduce them.
Yeah.
I can't hear.
Do you have people who have accompanied you today here?
Pardon?
Do you have people who have accompanied
There's somebody here, yes.
you? Who is the person?
It's just somebody that's taking care of my security needs.
Okay. Is the person inside the chambers?
Correct, Chairman.
Okay. Where is the person?
I don't know, Chairman. I cannot see.
What is the name of the person?
Paul Gibson. Paul Gibson.
Okay. And the security team of Parliament?
The security team of Parliament, Chairman, are also scattered around this room and outside. And the police have provided me with additional escorts as well. So this was necessary because of the threats that have been made against me. And, you know, I'm satisfied.
No, I just want to know if the security team of Parliament is aware that Paul Gibson is here.
We had yesterday, Chairman, we had a dry run.
You made those security arrangements with them?
Sorry, Chairman?
I'm saying you made those security arrangements with them.
Yes, we made our arrangements and everything's in place. I'm satisfied that everything is in place.
Honorable, are you satisfied? Okay. Honorable Skosan.
Thank you, Chair. I hope that the security class has done well on that by vetting that person as well, that we don't need thugs in here. Like the last time we had someone here sitting here who came with the one general. We don't need that. We need a person of integrity if it's a security personnel. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you so much. Look, Mr. Mpilo is here and has always been here during our proceedings. Before this proceeding started, honorable members, he came to me to brief me that they have met with our witness yesterday. They also did a dry run here to satisfy each one of the parties that the arrangements that are in place are to everyone's comfort. So I think let's leave those details to the security. If we may have any suspicion with any person that may be within the premises, I think we can always report that to the security for them to take care of that. Advocate Arendse and Mr. Paul Sullivan, I'm going to give you this time for the presentation of evidence, and I want to wish you good luck in that exercise. Just before that, we have the apology of Honorable Helper. But this is not written when I know he's preparing for SONA. Okay. Because it's just a letter saying Apollo. Yeah, he's preparing for SONA, honorable members. Those are the DA arrangements we can't discuss. If they say Honorable Topa is preparing for SONA, let's accept that it's an organizational commitment. Yeah. Okay.
He's not preparing for SONA, Chair. He's attending to a personal issue today that was arranged a long time ago.
Which apology must we record, Honorable Breitenbach?
Mine. And while we're busy, I need to be excused at 1:15, please. Thank you.
13:15. Okay. No, thank you so much. Advocate, we will break at 13 hours. Advocate Arendse and Mr. Sullivan. Let's run now until 13 hours.
Thank you, Honourable Chair, Honourable Members. You, in the short time, you may also have noticed that Mr. O'Sullivan is also a bit hard of hearing. So it's also, I suppose, for me to speak loudly and clearly when asking him questions or when addressing him. Thank you. Mr. O'Sullivan, you did depose to an affidavit, which is the original of which has now been handed up to the chairperson, and the copy that is before me and my colleagues and the honourable members, that's a copy of that original affidavit.
That's correct, Chairman.
Thank you. In paragraph 1, you refer to your current profession as a certified fraud investigator, and that you founded a forensic investigation company, Paul O'Sullivan and Associates, which has since changed its name to O'Sullivan, Brosnan and Associates. And then in 2015, you had also formed a non-profit company, Forensics for Justice, in 2015. And then you also have other property and business interests in South Africa and overseas.
That's correct, Chairman. If I can just stop one briefly, I've just realized there's a typing mistake here, where it says I'm currently a certified fraud investigator. Chairman, I'm a certified fraud examiner. That's just a typo.
Okay.
But I'm a certified fraud examiner since about 21 years ago.
So particularly in relation to your fraud examiner investigation interests, what does that entail?
Chair.
Pardon?
No, sorry, Chair.
Honorable Malam.
Think by now the evidence leader should be mastering the mic. You know, when he speaks, the mic is by his forehead. It's not on his mouth. It's by the forehead, and we don't hear.
I just less than 2 minutes ago, I requested Bonani that when he passed there, he must lower the mic too. Can we do better, Advocate Arendse, with the microphone?
Mr. O'Sullivan, I asked, what does your business or your work entail as a certified fraud examiner, investigator, and the one company, O'Sullivan, Brosnan and Associates, and the other company, Forensics for Justice? What does that entail?
Chairman, so I formed O'Sullivan, Brosnan and Associates in 2012. And the purpose of that entity, it's a for-profit company. It's a normal business. And the purpose of that company is to carry out forensic investigations. The company is made up of criminologists, certified fraud examiners, attorneys, and accountants. And we carry out in-depth forensic investigations into fraud, mostly in the corporate sector, Chairman. And some of those investigations would run into hundreds of millions of rand. And obviously that's done through contracts that are entered into with the corporate client. And the intention is to raise profits. And those profits are then used to run the non-profit company, which is called Forensics for Justice. And Forensics for Justice was formed primarily to investigate state-sponsored corruption, and particularly with a focus on corruption within the criminal justice system and state-owned entities or companies. And in that regard, we investigate a lot of corruption within Transnet, Eskom, PRASA, South African Airways, a number of state-owned companies. And obviously, we carried out a lot of investigations into the police and the prosecution service, where there was some rogue. And we didn't focus on constables and sergeants. We focused on generals and deputy directors in the prosecution service, or directors in the prosecution service.
What was the motivation or your motivation to inquire into these entities and to do this kind of work? Or do you do that on behalf of your clients, your corporate clients, or members of the public that request or require you to do these investigations?
No, Chairman. So if I turn the clock back, I wasn't really interested in the public sector at all. And I wasn't really interested in, when I say interested, I had no desire to investigate the police or the prosecution service or anything like that. But in 2001, some criminals tried to murder me. And it was after I cancelled the security contract worth about 300 million rand. And they tried to murder me, and they brought an urgent application in the High Court to have the contract cancellation set aside. And then at that moment in time, for reasons which I later found out were corruption reasons, the then Commissioner of Police, Jackie Salebi, got involved. And he took steps to neutralize me from cancelling the contract. And one thing led to another. And after a few years, I realized that actually he was engaged in corruption. So I decided it would be in the public interest to not have a chief of police that was corrupt. So I assembled several lever arch files of evidence, and I handed it over to the Scorpions. And they went and dealt with that matter. And I think it's a matter of public record, Chairman, that after a 3-year trial, Jackie Salebi was sentenced to 15 years in prison for corruption. And I can say that I probably spent about 7 years of my life providing evidence for that investigation to the Scorpions.
That is dealt with a bit later on in your affidavit, and we'll get there. In your affidavit, you also mentioned that you hold citizenship of 3 countries, and you discuss that at paragraph 3 of your affidavit.
That's correct, Chairman. I'm first was a citizen of Ireland, and then I became a citizen of Great Britain, and then I became a citizen of South Africa. So when I became a citizen of South Africa, I already had citizenship of Ireland and the United Kingdom. And yeah.
Where were you born?
I was actually born in England of Irish parents, but I was brought up in Ireland. So when I grew up, I considered myself Irish, so I took an Irish passport. And then later I obtained a British passport because, having been born in Britain, I was entitled to have a British passport. And I saw no reason why I shouldn't have these passports.
A question had been posed or asked whether the reason why you hold citizenship of 3 countries is that you are or might be an agent or a foreign agent, or you're working or doing work for foreign entities, countries.
I think, with all respect, Chairman, I've been in this country now 40 years, and I can categorically state that I have not performed any foreign agent activities in that 40 years. And in fact, my loyalty is to South Africa. If we go back to 1995, as an example, one of my daughters, a young girl then, she's obviously fully adult now, we were putting on at work, we were putting on for the Rugby World Cup. I gave all my staff the afternoon off from 11 in the morning. And we got one of these big screen TVs, which was like a projector because LCD TVs didn't exist then. And I set up a competition amongst the staff that whoever could come along as the best dressed rugby player or rugby supporter would get a prize. And I said that they could invite their family or children to this function. And I brought, at that stage, I only had 2 children. I now have 7. I brought my 2 daughters with me, Roshin and Sinead. And Roshin was a very strong rugby supporter. And she came along dressed as a Springbok. And one of the guys there said, yes, but you're Irish. So do you support Ireland or do you support South Africa? And she said, actually, I support 3 teams. First, I support South Africa because I'm South African. Secondly, I support Ireland because I'm Irish. And the guy said, but what's the 3rd team that you support? She said, whoever's playing against England. So that gives you the flavor. And that was in 1995, which is, my math's not, 31 years ago. So 31 years ago, we all considered ourselves South African. And I have children that were born here and went to school here, and they considered themselves South African. And I would consider it criminal for me to support a foreign government. It's very easy to have foreign passports because it's very convenient to be able to travel around the world. Unfortunately, because of the levels of corruption in South Africa, the South African passport is not what it used to be. But an Irish passport gets you into any country in Europe. And the South African passport will not get you into any country in Europe without standing in queues and filling in forms and obtaining visas and so on and so forth. So the multiple passport story, Chairman, is a convenience. And I have taken the oath a short while ago, and I want to remind everybody that having taken that oath, I'm stating clearly under oath, I have never acted as a foreign agent in this country.
And just while we're on that, you mentioned that your businesses in property development and also the forensic company or Sullivan, Brosnan and Associates effectively cross-subsidize your NGO work for forensics for justice. Apart from that, do you receive any other funding, especially foreign funding?
Chairman, we don't receive any foreign funding. On the website, forensicsforjustice.org, we are fully transparent and we publish our accounts. So from 2015 until present time, anybody can go on and look at our accounts. And when you see the amount of money that comes into our accounts, which is shown in those audited accounts, you will see actually we run that on a shoestring. And in most years, we're lucky if we get 100,000 in donations. And most of the donations we get, Chairman, are a man in the street, 500 Rand here, 500 Rand there. We don't have any big donors. We had one big donor who paid us over a period of about a year, I think 700,000 Rand. And that was something that that company had chosen to do as a sponsorship. And that was a few years ago. But we have absolutely to our knowledge, no overseas donors.
Now, again, maybe just going a bit off script, but because we at the point about your businesses, Ms. Sarah Jane Trent, her name has been mentioned. Tell us a little bit about her. Do you know her? Did she work for you? What was your relationship with her? Does she still work for you? What did she do when she worked for you? If she did?
Chairman, I can't remember the year now, but it would probably been about 2013 or 2014, somewhere like this. Sarah Jane Trent applied to the company for a position as an intern. She had completed her law degree, but she hadn't completed her articles and she hadn't taken her board exams. And she applied for a position as an intern. So we gave her a 1-year contract.
And is this for O'Sullivan, Brosnan and Associates?
Yes, at that time it's the same company, but at that time it was called Paul O'Sullivan and Associates. Because I'm moving towards pension, I decided to take on a partner a few years ago, and now it's called O'Sullivan, Brosnan and Associates. So my plan would be within the next year or two that, if God gives me the grace to stay around till then, that I will go on pension and the company can still carry on running. But it was Paul O'Sullivan Associates. She applied for a position as a intern doing legal research work. We have an in-house corporate counsel who is a lawyer. And at that time, I gave her a 1-year contract. At the end of the 1-year contract, she wanted to continue working, and her work performance was acceptable. It was very good. And then I signed a permanent contract with her. So she became a permanent employee as defined in the Labour Relations Act. And the condition of employment was that within 2 years, she complete her articles and be registered as an attorney, and also complete and take her board exams to become a certified fraud examiner, which I already was. And she then, she did that. So she became an attorney and a certified fraud examiner. And then that coincided with my decision to form this non-profit company, Forensics for Justice. So I invited her to be the executive director. I was the founder of it, but I invited her to be the executive director of Forensics for Justice, which meant she was the person that would have to assist with those pro bono investigations that we would carry out. But she effectively reported to me and she carried out my instructions.
And what's the current?
Just a moment, Honorable Matthias.
Pardon? I didn't hear that.
Thank you, Chair. Can the evidence leader tell us on which page of the statement we are on, and particularly on the matter of Sarah Jane, because I didn't see it in the statement. Thanks.
Point taken.
As I respond, Chair, I did say it's not right. It's not in the statement right now, but I prefaced my remark by saying I'm going a bit off script because we are talking about your company and the non-profit organization, and the name of Sarah Trent has come up. Can you now, at this stage, just, and that's what the witness has been doing.
Oh, thank you so much.
I'll continue, Chair.
Honorable Matthias.
Chair, the evidence leader, since he started, has not even said we are on paragraph 1, we are on paragraph 2. He's not leading. He's always going off script. We don't know where we are following. I mean, there's just a basic thing on leading evidence. On paragraph 2, you are talking about this. Can you expand? That's all we're asking so we can follow properly. Thank you, Chair. And we raised this even last week, and he's doing the same thing again.
Advocate Arendse, may you please repeat what you said?
Thank you, Chair. So we were still discussing your interests, your business interests, and your non-profit organization, referring to one in which is still in paragraph 1 of your statement.
Before you proceed, I just wanted you to explain to Honorable Matthias what you are doing so that all of us are able to follow you.
Sorry, Chair.
Yeah, I was saying that if you can explain to her the issue of Sarah Jane Trent. May you please explain to her so that she understands what you are.
It's not that I don't understand. I get that the senior counsel is even saying he's going off the beaten track. I'm saying that since the senior counsel started, he has not even pointed us to a single paragraph. And I'm just asking that he affords us so we can follow on the statement what it is we are dealing with. So if he gets to a certain paragraph, I'm on paragraph 5. And I'm going to ask also here about Sarah Jane. She doesn't appear anymore. And if you go back and you look at hindsight, since the senior counsel started, he has not even indicated we're on paragraph 1 or 2 or 3. So we're just asking for that basic indulgence, please, Chair.
Yeah, I think what he said was that he will go off script. And I think once he comes back to the statement, he will alert all of us. Let's proceed.
Honourable Chair, I referred to paragraph 1. I did refer at the outset to paragraph 1, and the witness can confirm that. And we were talking about his businesses and what he does.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Let's do it like this. Let's.
So in relation to what is in paragraph 1,
Advocate Arons, just one moment.
Right.
Just a moment. Yeah. Okay, we can proceed. We are on paragraph 1 now.
we are on paragraph 1,
Yeah.
where Mr. Sullivan indicates that his company, Paul Sullivan and Associates, changed its name to Sullivan, Brosnan and Associates, and he explained how that took place. He also indicated that he formed this company, Forensics for Justice, and explained how that took place. We discussed, which is not mentioned in paragraph 1, about funding, sources of funding. Why? Because this issue has been raised before the Honourable Committee on previous occasions. So while I was there, I asked him about it because he discussed the funding, and I asked the question about whether it's foreign funded and so on. And while we were there, he discussed people who work for him. So I said, the name of Sarah Trent has come up in this committee. In fact, she's now been identified as a witness. So can you just also tell us about her? And that's where we were.
That is sufficient, Advocate Arons. Let's proceed.
Thank you. Mr. Sullivan, so just what is Ms. Sarah Jane Trent's current position in relation to Forensics for Justice? Is she still the Executive Director?
Chairman, in March, about I think it's almost 4 years ago, actually, Ms. Trent expressed a desire to move on. I think she'd been with me at that stage for about 7 years. And she expressed the desire to move on. So she resigned as Executive Director in March 22 of, is that 4 years ago? Almost 4 years ago. She resigned as Executive Director of Forensics for Justice. She was also Director of what was still called Paul O'Sullivan Associates at that stage. She resigned as the director of Paul O'Sullivan Associates. And she was also a director of one of my development companies, and she resigned as a director of that company. And she went to work somewhere else, and I wished her good luck. And yeah, so she hasn't been involved in my businesses for almost 4 years.
So does she have any other association or relationship with you, either professional or otherwise?
None whatsoever, Chairman.
Thank you. Now, in paragraphs 4 and 5, you list several professional qualifications and commendations in your affidavit.
Mm-hmm.
Can you describe your experiences and how these recognitions and commendations
I can just read
has
it.
shaped your expertise in combating fraud and corruption?
Yeah, if I can, and these are obviously, you could say qualifications or memberships or whatever. Perhaps it's back to front, because actually I joined the police in 1990. So, and the reason I joined the police, Chairman, it was quite simple. I was running a property development company at the time, and I had a secretary, and oh, excuse me, my car got broken into, and somebody stole the radio out of my car. In those days, you had a radio with a tape, you know, you push a tape in and everything, and there was a craze of people breaking into cars and stealing those radios. And my car got broken into, and somebody stole the radio. And I told my secretary to get the in to replace the window and put the new radio in. And she said, "Have you opened the case?" I said, "You know, it's a few $100 for a car radio and a window. And the paperwork involved to open a case, I think I should just leave it." And she said, no, my husband is in the police, and he says every case should be opened. And in fact, you should meet him. And I met him. Very nice guy. I can't remember his first name now, because it's a very long time ago. But he was a major in the police. Edwards, his name was. And he was the station commander at Halfway House Police Station. And I met him, and I opened the docket. And then, of course, they never caught anybody. But then he said to me, "You know what? You can become a police reservist." So he explained to me how it all worked and everything. You have to fill in forms and whatnot, and they have to check to make sure you don't have a criminal record, and then you do the training and you become police reservist. So I did that. And that was in 1990. That's 36 years ago. I became a police reservist. And I realized that it was important in this country not just to be a taker, but to be a giver as well. So I started contributing. And my contribution was to work hard as a police reservist, and that's what I did. And then I realized that it would be important to get relevant training and relevant skills for the work that I was doing. So I went on a number of courses at my own expense. And eventually I became a certified fraud examiner. I became a member of the society, the American Society of Criminology. There's no South African Society of Criminology. I became a voice stress analyst, a certified voice stress analyst in 2001. I became a certified aviation security specialist in 2001, and that related to my work at the time. I was a fellow at the Institute of Directors since 1991. In fact, I became a U.S. Department of Justice certified document examiner since 2000. That flowed from the work I was doing in the border police, because in I was originally in the police in Boysons, and in 1996 I got badly injured.
Mr. Sullivan, can I just interrupt you? You've now just jumped to, or if I could just indicate to the honorable members, we're discussing, initially I asked you about the recognition and the commendations which are at paragraph 4 and 5.
Okay.
And if you wish to highlight anything there, and then you had also jumped to paragraphs.
Okay.
The volunteer,
I'm sorry.
your heading volunteer
Yeah, I will
work as
try
a
and follow
reservist.
yeah.
That's from paragraphs 14 through to 20.
Okay. So in paragraph 5.
So, yeah, so at the moment you've now jumped to paragraph 6,
Yeah.
your professional background.
Okay. Let me go back to
Properties
paragraph 5.
Yes.
Sorry, Chairman. My mind sometimes is ahead of my eyes.
Is there anything you want to highlight there in paragraph 4 and 5?
Yes, I think
Advocate, may we take Honorable Malema?
I think I've dealt with paragraph 4. On paragraph 5.
Thanks, Chair.
Pardon? What?
Honorable Malema.
Yeah, I wanted to check, maybe that the evidence leader is now referring us to paragraphs, because I thought they were still going to come to paragraph 3, where the witness suggests that we can't ask him questions about anything before 1990. I've never had a witness who gives an affidavit saying to us, you can't ask me this or that, because when he took an oath, he committed to answer all the questions and do so truthfully. And he can't say to us, so how do we treat paragraph 3 after he has taken an oath? How do we treat it? What is this paragraph worth of?
Are we on to that paragraph, advocate, or are we still going there?
They were on paragraph 4 now.
Yeah.
Mr. O'Sullivan, in paragraph 3, highlighted now by Honorable Malema, is that for reasons of personal and family security, you will not engage in discussions concerning your family, background, education, or business interests in South Africa or overseas prior to 1990. For what reason, or why do you mention that?
Chairman, just for personal security, over the last 15 years, there's been 10 attempts on my life. In 1996, I was shot 3 times. There have been multiple attempts on my life. And, Chairman, unfortunately, the criminal element, what they try to do is they try to find out things about you, which is of a personal nature. They want to know, where's your business interest? Where are your children living? Where are your properties? So I've made it clear that I'm not going to be providing any of that information. It's just not going to be advanced. And we can sit here all day and you can ask me a million questions. I will not provide that information. I'm entitled to protect my own personal interests and to protect my family interests. And I intend to do that, Chairman.
You have already mentioned that you have 7 children.
Yes, I have 7 children, but I'm not giving all their names out, and I'm not saying where they are and what they're doing. I have the right to protect my family and my interests and my personal interests. And the dirty games that are being played by the criminals that I've been exposing, as I've said prior to this, Chairman, there have been at least 10 recorded attempts on my life. There are people on trial at this moment in time for trying to murder me, for nothing more than exposing their criminal conduct.
Let's just hold it before I take you, Honorable Malema, for a follow-up. Yeah, I note your hands. I don't think that it will be fair for you to make a statement that we can sit here for the whole day.
I can't hear. Sorry, Chairman, I can't hear what you're saying.
Yes, I'm saying that I don't think it's fair for you to make the statement that we can sit here for the whole day. Surely you could get a better way to say it, isn't it?
Well, we don't have to sit here the whole day, Chairman.
Yeah.
I prefer to just get on and give my evidence.
No, I'm saying on the question whether you are prepared to answer for matters before 1990.
Yeah.
And then you say, no, we can sit here for the whole day. I'm not going to say anything. I don't think it's a better way to say it. You could have found a polite way to make that statement. Do you agree with me?
A point taken, Chairman.
Thank you. Honorable Malem.
No, thanks, Chair. I don't think it is correct for the witness to write his own questions and answer them. He can't say to us, we can't ask him anything about things that happened before 90. What if the business you are talking about started engaging in wrongdoing before 1990 and is still doing the same thing now and want to refer back to where it started? What if there is an allegation that you are handling certain activists of the liberation movement that happened before 1990? And that's why you've got certain relationship you have with them today. So it cannot be correct, and that has got nothing to do with criminality. That has got everything to do with trying to demonstrate that you have captured criminal justice system way before even 1994. So it can't be correct, Chair, especially after taking an oath that is going to answer every question here and answer it truthfully. And therefore, we need to make it very clear as a committee that is going to answer every question presented before him here. He's under oath. And it's not going to tell us here that we can sit here the whole day and ask him questions. He's not going to answer those questions. He's going to have to answer those questions. He has taken an oath to answer the questions. And that must be made very clear to him.
Honorable Skosana, Honorable Nomvalo, you are going to speak, honorable members. There is no need for you to be.
Thank you, Chair. Indeed, paragraph 3 is problematic because, you know, when you go to paragraph 5.1, commendation from Scotland Yard for stopping a knife attack and arresting suspect 1978. And now, on paragraph 3, it says that we can't ask him anything before that. He's contradicting his own statement as well here. And as well, I mean, when you look at paragraph 3, background and education has nothing to do with criminality. I mean, it doesn't make sense, Chair. Hence, I'm just giving one example. Himself, this is what he said here, Scotland Yard, 1978. He stopped somebody, you know, knife attack. But here he's telling us that we can't ask anything beyond 1990. It can't be allowed, Chair. Thank you.
Honorable Nomvalo. What? Honorable Ngola.
No, Chair, I think it's just a matter of echoing what the colleagues have been saying, that the oath you have just administered now does point it out that the witness must answer fully and satisfactorily. And beyond that, Chair, I don't know how an education background can become a security hazard. And also in the body of the affidavit itself, there are a lot of events that the witness is telling us which are pre-1990. Honorable Skosana is talking about the 1978 thing, 76. he details on his life in 1986, 1987, 1989. Now, the nature the nature of the paragraph itself is actually limiting us from diving down to what is saying in the body also of the affidavit. So I think we shouldn't accept that there are matters before 1990 that should not be responded to. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think, honorable members, it goes without a debate. The witness has deposed a statement with us. This committee has been mandated to investigate. So any allegations that have been made or any information that members of the committee want to probe with you, they are going to do so. Let me remind you that you are under oath, and let's cooperate.
Thank you, Chairman. For the record, the oath I took was to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. I did not take an oath to answer every single question if it's going to violate my personal information and my family security. And if we take, Chairman, paragraph 3, and we take paragraph 5.1, Chairman, the two are not related.
Mr. O'Sullivan, let's not go to the statement now.
Okay, thank you, Chairman.
Listen to me. Look at me. You have the evidence leader in front of you. The evidence leader is going to lead you paragraph by paragraph.
Okay, thank you, Chairman.
And then the oath that you have taken here says that fully and satisfactorily, you are going to ask questions that have lawfully been put to you.
Thank you, Chairman.
So if we on your statement, you have deposed a paragraph that speaks about an event that happened prior 1990s on your statement. The honorable members have a right to ask you about it. If there could have been any witness who came here and made a statement or an allegation about an event that happened before 1990, and you were involved or you are alleged to have been involved, you will have to respond to that. These members, if by chance they have any matter prior to 1990 they want to probe with you, please respond to those questions.
Thank you, Chairman.
But for now, I want you to follow the evidence leader. The points I'm making here must not be points for debate.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Yeah. And without sounding argumentative, the reality of the situation is that the qualification about prior to 1990 says, for personal and family security, I will not engage in discussions concerning my family, background, education, or business interests in South Africa or overseas prior to 1990. If any member has a question they want to put about any event that took place prior to 1990, and it doesn't impinge on my family security and my safety, I have no problem with that question.
Let me say this to you. Let's cross the bridge when we come to it.
Yes, I think that's a good idea, Chairman.
Because what we will not allow here is for you to prescribe what you should be asked and what you should not be asked. For now, there is no question that has been put to you. At that stage, when those questions are put to you, I want you and all of us to proceed with the same understanding that questions are going to be asked here. Questions have been asked with all of the witnesses that have appeared before this committee, and they have responded to those questions. There are witnesses, for instance, some of them were asked very, very sensitive questions, including their romantic relations. Not only here, even in the commission outside here, or even in society out there. Those questions have been asked. So I don't want us to be agitated. I want us to understand that you are here before this committee. You are going to cooperate, all of us. We are going to cooperate with you. You are going to cooperate with us. We are a committee probing allegations. And for us to successfully probe those allegations, you have to honestly come forward and respond to the questions that members are asking.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. I want to confirm that I'm here to cooperate, and I'm definitely not agitated. Some of the members may be agitated, but I am not.
No,
Thank
there
you.
is no member who is agitated.
Okay, thank you, Chairman.
It is me who will say that.
Okay.
Yeah. Honorable Malim.
No, thanks, Chair. It's not about whether the question will arise or not. That statement by its own nature is wrong and it must be removed. Before we proceed, we must agree paragraph 3 must be expunged from that affidavit. Because even if he had not written that in that statement, in the affidavit, and someone was to ask a question that is uncomfortable with him, he will bring that to attention and he will make that ruling. Now, if we allow him to proceed with this paragraph 3, it means we allow him to tell us which questions to ask him and which questions not to ask him. We know how we work. We cannot be told in an affidavit, you are not going to ask me questions that happened before 1990. If we allow that to happen, we are setting a wrong precedence. He can't tell us that. He needs to remove that paragraph. We need that paragraph removed. He can't tell us which questions to answer him, which questions not to answer him. If there is a question that is security threat or incriminating or any other matter, you are well placed to deal with those matters. We cannot be told by a witness that you can do anything before 1990, I will not answer. You can even sit here the whole day, I won't answer anything before 1990. We are going to come out of this committee looking like clowns that were told by witness which questions to ask him, which questions not to ask him. He's going to be speaking about other people here. He's going to be speaking about other people here, and he doesn't want to be asked questions about himself. Well, he must be asked questions about himself because he's also going to talk about other people. And he already calls them criminals. So he needs to remove this paragraph 3. It's not about whether the question will come or not. This is just like a principal telling us that we must not go beyond 1990 on this textbook. It can't be corrected. It has got everything else to, it smells like supremacy. And we can't sit here with our clear conscience and allow it to proceed like that. We need to be advised from evidence leaders' point of view. I may not know the law. In a situation like this, what do we do? Where this paragraph in a signed affidavit is very problematic. He tells us from right at the beginning, you are not going to ask me anything about 1990. Even if you try, we can sit here the whole day. I won't answer that. And then we say, let's proceed. That is a very disrespectful statement, which must not be accepted by this honorable house. Thanks, Chair.
Advocate Aransa.
Honorable Chair, honorable members, in relation to no witness that has appeared before this honorable committee, including Mr. O'Sullivan, are we bound by what a witness says in his or her affidavit that they place before the committee? In fact, I've already asked several questions which do not appear on the statement, and where Honorable Matthys had said, where's the reference to it in the statement? So we are not bound by the four corners. As evidence leaders, we consult with a witness, all the witnesses thus far. Some of them insist that they want certain things said in an affidavit or removed from an affidavit. We exchange drafts with them, and we settle the affidavit not on the basis that this is a document that's been agreed. Otherwise, you don't need us. You can just place the affidavit before the Honourable Committee, and the witness can read it and they can ask him questions. We place it before the committee to facilitate the leading of evidence, but in many instances, in some instances where I've been criticized, we go out of the affidavit because we tell the witnesses in consultation, including Mr. Sullivan, that we will put to you contrary versions of other witnesses or other information or other evidence that we have gathered, and we will ask you about that. And again, it's not for them to agree that that's the case or not. That is the nature of them giving evidence. The purpose of putting a written affidavit before the Honourable Committee is to facilitate the interaction with the witness. What is important is the oral evidence given before the committee. I'm glad Honourable Madema raised the issue of what is contained in paragraph 3, because I was going to ask Mr. O'Sullivan, if it's, one can understand, and hopefully we all understand, that issues of safety and security, especially regarding your family and your personal security, all of us would be concerned about that. But there seems to me no reason why we cannot ask Mr. O'Sullivan about his life, his career, his qualifications preceding 1990, especially in the context of a question I've already asked him, which is not in his affidavit, is there's an allegation that you are funded by foreign agents. Are you a foreign agent? That's what people are curious about, and because of his role in crime fighting, crime prevention for some 36 years, he's become a prominent figure in South Africa, and it's entirely relevant that people want to know, where do you actually come from, and what have you done before you came to South Africa?
Okay.
So, with your leave, I want to ask him that, and if he doesn't want to answer me, then I'm sure honourable members will ask him when their turn comes to ask him questions.
I want you to proceed with the leading of oral evidence, and we proceed by the decision that that paragraph does not belong here. We don't accept it.
Chair, Honourable Chair, just before you entertain other objections or questions from honourable members, we accept that. No witness can tell this honourable committee or the evidence leaders that certain questions are off limits. It is what he put in his affidavit, but we're not bound by it.
Okay. Can I see those who want to speak? Can you raise your hand? Chief Whip, Skosana, Honorable Skosana, Honorable James.
No, thanks, Chair. Good morning to you and good morning to colleagues. No, Chair, the reason I'm raising my hand is because I think we are now traveling to a wrong direction. We've had many witnesses in the past, and many of them have said things that we don't agree with, some of which we objected, we engaged them on those issues. And some of those testimonies were written down in their affidavit. So I don't think, Chair, it's going to be appropriate for us to amend an affidavit of a witness. I think we shouldn't amend the affidavit. While I agree with the sentiment that no witness should be permitted to tell us what we can and cannot ask him or her, but I equally do not think that we'll be acting rationally if we want to take a decision as a committee that before we proceed now, we are amending the following paragraphs of your affidavit. So my own view, Chair, is that the ruling you made
And I think the additions that were made by the senior counsel are adequate to confirm that we're going to delve into this affidavit and beyond it as we see it fit, and the witness will be required to answer and respond to all questions. But I really would like to suggest that we should not make a call that there are certain paragraphs of his affidavit that we want to agree as a committee we don't recognize or that they don't exist. They exist, but we disagree with them, and we will engage him in the way in which we see it fit as a committee. That's what I want to propose, Chair, because I'm worried that if we take the line that says, let's expunge the paragraph. When we have expunged the paragraph, you are effectively saying that we must adjourn and allow him to relook at his affidavit so that he decide what is it that he's going to sign and bring back to us. So my views, I don't think we should take that route, Chair. I think it's sufficient to take a position that, as he has also himself agreed, he will answer all the questions. And in circumstances where we identify that he's refusing to answer certain questions, he can't say, I'm not doing so because you have agreed with my affidavit. We don't have to agree with anybody's affidavit here. All we are required to do is to receive a sign-off affidavit. We engage people on their affidavits and beyond. So that's what I wanted to say, Chair. Thanks.
Honorable Kosan.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I think we have to know about Mr. Paul O'Sullivan, Robert O'Sullivan, biography. Who's this man who's sitting before us here? Who's this man who's sitting before? We don't know anything. This thing doesn't say anything here. There's no biography. We don't know him. He just said that he's got 3 passports, South Africa, Ireland, and UK. That's not enough, Chair. Who is he? The affidavit is before us here, but it's incomplete from the word go. I mean, paragraph 1, other male, a fraud investigator, and this and that. There's nothing here, Chair. There's nothing here, Chair. We must know who's he. Educational background's got nothing to do with criminality or his origin. As he said, he said he was born somewhere and, he regards himself. This is not enough, Chair. We can't thumbsuck here. Every witness who said here, we know exactly from the beginning, the introduction is clear. As you sit there, Chair, you don't know as well. As you sit there, you don't know who's the man sitting before us. Besides that, is Paul Robert O'Sullivan. Where is he from? Educational background, Chair. No. Chair, he must tell us who is he. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable James.
Chair, with all the other witnesses that have appeared before us, a precedent was set. We had a CV on record. Where is Mr. Paul O'Sullivan's CV? I want to echo the sentiments of MK. Ons weet nie wie is die man wat voor ons sit nie. We've jumped into his career and everything without a CV. Where is his CV? And he cannot come here and tell us that we must dance according to his tune. He basically said to this committee earlier on, I am here and I'm here to only speak my truth. He made it clear to us, we cannot allow that and we won't accept it. Thank you.
Your hand was not up.
No, it was up, Chair.
No, it wasn't when I noted the hands. Chief Whip, I hear the point that you are saying on the affidavit. And that paragraph, to my understanding, is that it is not a testimony. It's a condition for this committee. So if we allow such a condition, in a statement and saying, look, we can't amend the statement. You know, a condition is something very difficult for us to continue with a statement that has a condition in it. And if we say we disagree with this condition, I would be persuaded to agree with you where a witness alleges something that, look, what you tell us, we disagree with this. This may not be accurate. But where you have a condition that says you will not or you shall not ask me anything, it becomes very problematic. And that is why, maybe for lack of a better word, I said the committee cannot accept a condition like that one. Maybe whether we expunge it or we don't expunge it, we disagree with it or we agree with it, let's all agree that the committee does not accept this condition in its proceedings. And where I stand, I strongly feel that we will be reduced into a mockery if we are going to allow any witness to come before us and lay terms within which we are going to engage with him or her. And when I listen to you, Mr. Paulo Sullivan, maybe to come closer to where members are, you are saying there is sensitive information that you feel it's very much important for the security of your children and your family. That's what I heard you saying.
Yeah, Chairman.
Maybe if I
can explain.
Just wait a moment for me to conclude.
Sorry.
So that you understand that the condition that says we cannot ask you questions on matters before 1990, it's not accepted in this committee proceedings.
It's not a condition, Chairman. I've stated very clearly that it's only for reasons of personal safety and family security. If you don't dig into my family or my personal safety, you can ask me any question you want.
Listen, there is no problem. We want these proceedings to go ahead, and the only way that they can go ahead, for instance, there have been witnesses that came here before us and said to us that we may not be able to disclose the following information with you because by law we are not allowed. And we are leaders in this country. We are aware, and it has also been brought to light, how citizens of this country found themselves endangered. Some even lost their lives.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. I didn't hear what you said.
If there is any information that may endanger your security, you can tell this committee and say, there is information like this that I think is going to be dangerous to the security of my family or to my children. And we have been amenable as a committee to say information like that, for instance, if you have, we can decide if we create a platform for you to share with us if it does not have to be public. But what we are saying in the main, and which you don't have a problem with as I listen to you, is that we cannot have a condition that says you can't ask me the following questions, except those for personal security.
That's it, Chairman. Only
Okay.
for personal security and safety of my family.
Yeah. No, I think I wanted us to agree that that condition does not belong here. Honorable Nombalo, do you still have something to say? And then Honorable Malema, we move forward.
Yeah, no, thanks, Chair. If I wanted us to drive the point home from the onset, I was tempted to argue this point after the input that has been made by the Chief Whip, which I disagree with it completely. Because one, this paragraph is problematic in the sense that one, it says he is not ready to talk about his business interest. And the same witness goes on in his statement. He talks about his business interest. So he says indirectly, I can tell you about my business interest, but you can't ask me about my business interest. That is problem number one. Problem number two is that as members of this committee, when we probe, we don't necessarily confine ourselves in the statement of the witness. We probe being guided by allegations which have been made by various people from society regarding the witness before us. So we're not going to be confined in this statement when we do our work. We will ask questions which we think are relevant at that particular time. And some of those questions, and most of them, we just want to make that promise that most of those questions are going to be your family, some are going to be your business, some are going to be your history. So we're not going to take this thing, we're disregarding it because it's a silly prescription. That's how I can characterize it. And we're not taking it, Chair. So we can't massage and try to put nice English and make it look better, whereas it is actually nonsense. It doesn't make sense. So we're not going to take it. This paragraph does not exist. We're not amending anything, we're disregarding. There's a difference between the two. We're not amending, we're disregarding, we're saying it does not exist because it is a problematic directive. Thank you.
No, Chair, I fully agree with what you said, but it is entirely incorrect, if not a deliberate decision to lie to the public, that we've never asked a witness not to amend his affidavit. The first witness to appear here, General Mkwanas, was told to go and amend his affidavit, which he was calling it supplementary affidavit. We said there's no such a thing. He left here, went to amend that affidavit. So it's not correct. Secondly, Nkabinde, if I'm not wrong, colleagues will correct me. We adjourned here to go and amend the affidavit. So if people say it will be irrational, what do they mean? Was it irrational when we asked General Mkwanas to amend the affidavit and asked Nkabinde to amend the affidavit? But I'm amenable to proceed in a manner you are suggesting, and not under the lie that was told here, but under the conclusion that you made that this paragraph number 3 is not worth the paper written on it. We're going to ask questions beyond 1990 and they're going to be answered here. Thanks.
Okay. Chief Whip.
No, Chair, I think you will have to bear with us because it may be necessary that we have this debate. And I'm not going to accept that I have lied. I'm not going to accept that because I haven't lied. When we asked Lieutenant General Mkwanas to sign the document that was presented before us, to go out and sign it, we took a break. The reason why we had to do that was because he had given us exactly the same document that he submitted to the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. But he prefaced it by the word supplemental evidence or supplemental affidavit. So what we were opposed to as a committee is that in terms of our record, history must discover that we were given an original affidavit. not a supplemental document from another processes. That is what we're dealing with. We were not opposing the substance of his wording in terms of the presentation of the evidence before us. We were removing the word supplemental affidavit because that supplemental is making reference, is suggesting that we are giving a document as a secondary submission as opposed to being the primary recipient of the document. So I'm not going to agree that, therefore, when I say we haven't met as a committee with a witness, go through his or her affidavit and point to specific paragraph that we want him or her to amend and got them amended. That has not happened. And I'm not going to agree that, therefore, what I was saying earlier on was a lie. And that is why I'm saying to you, if we have to discuss this issue and not deal with what we have to deal with in the context of what you suggested as a summary, I think we should do so. But I really would not accept that I have lied when I haven't lied with what I was explaining.
Sure.
So I thought it's important for me to make that point, Shed.
That part, during a break, I want you and, in a meeting we discuss. Outside of the meeting, we improve on our discussions. So during break, yourself and Honorable Malema, you meet and improve on the discussions on this part. We are proceeding, honorable members, on the point that we don't accept this condition that is in the statement. Advocate Aranse, may we proceed? We have taken 20 minutes of your time. You are now left with 30 minutes before we break.
Thank you, Chair. Just for the record, the problem identified and raised by Honorable Malema in relation to General Mkhonazi's statement was the heading to the statement that was called or described as a supplementary affidavit, and the objection was that this was a supplementary affidavit to his main affidavit in the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. We then adjourned and took out the reference to supplementary affidavit, and we also took out the reference to that affidavit being supplementary to the Madlanga affidavit because it was in fact an original affidavit which we took from General Mkhonazi after spending also many hours with him in consultation. In relation to Mr. Nkabinde, you remember during questioning, I think I was still questioning him, but then a point was raised. I forget who the honorable member was, but then he mentioned that this was a thumbsuck. And there was an outrage amongst committee members, and at that point it was decided to adjourn, and he must go back and present us with another affidavit. So with respect, the two instances are very different. I think certainly as evidence leaders in this committee, we are all agreed that Mr. O'Sullivan cannot tell us what he'll answer and what he won't answer. If he does, then obviously he'll have to justify it, and I think we all accept that when it comes to his personal safety and his family safety, that such questions, subject to your discretion, Chair, you may decide. But I want to proceed. I want to proceed to ask him some questions which are not related to or which wouldn't impact on his family or his security, because I think as one of the honourable members pointed out, he already does in his affidavit, which is before you, in paragraph 5.1, he talks about the commendation from Scotland Yard for stopping a knife attack and arresting a suspect in 1978. And in paragraph 6, he also says that as in his professional background that In 1984, I was engaged in property development and investment activities in the UK, and I invested in property in South Africa. And then in 1989, due to investment in property, he successfully applied for permanent residency as a person of independent means. So there is already a reference, Mr. O'Sullivan, to pre-1990. You also mentioned, which is not in the affidavit, that you were born in the UK of Irish parents. So that's a personal detail. So can I ask you, where did you go to school? Did you go to school in the UK or in Ireland?
Chairman, I went to school in Ireland
Okay.
and in the UK.
Okay. And after your schooling, did you go to any tertiary institution, any university, any college?
I studied in London and in Manchester,
What did you study?
electrical engineering and electronic engineering.
Are you a qualified engineer?
Not anymore. You know, you have to have what they call continuing professional development. And I ceased engineering work probably 30 years ago. I stopped being involved in engineering activities about 30 years ago. I was registered with an institution in the UK, and I never registered in South Africa because actually I decided that engineering wasn't for me.
And from 1981 to 84, you were consulting building services engineer for IBM.
Correct.
In the UK. What other work did you do whilst you were either in the UK or in Ireland?
Whilst I was in the UK or Ireland, after 1984, I was involved in property development.
Were you at any stage involved in or with the British Army?
With what?
With the British Army?
Chairman, I worked for the British government in counter-terrorism and counter-espionage activities from, I can't remember the exact years, from 73, I think, till 77.
And in what capacity, what role did you play? And what activities were you involved in?
Chairman, I played the role of counter-terrorism activities and counter-espionage. And counter-espionage involves making sure, and counter-surveillance, making sure that the people that would want to do harm to the country, you know, that they should be identified. So, yeah, I was involved in that work.
And in the course of that work, did you identify any person or persons or organizations from South Africa?
None whatsoever. I was not involved in anything of that nature.
Did you do any surveillance on any South Africans who were in exile?
None whatsoever, Chairman.
Because we know, I mean, it's just common knowledge that the African National Congress, for example, was declared a terrorist organization. And even when our founding president was released from Robben Island, that designation, I think, was only removed subsequently. So my question is, if that organization had been designated as a terrorist organization, presumably because it constitutes or would constitute a threat to the UK government or its security, why would you not have been involved in surveillance or
Chairman,
espionage.
my activities related to European environment, nothing to do with Africa whatsoever. My activities related to threats involving Irish terrorism. I'm talking about the IRA and other Irish nationalist units.
Now, we also know now, and certainly came to know subsequently, that the IRA, which certainly in our country we regarded.
Chairman, I'm just having trouble hearing.
Sorry. I said in relation to the IRA, certainly in our country, amongst some of us, we regarded the IRA as freedom fighters, and they were also associated with the liberation movements, the ANC, the PAC. Why would you not have become interested in the links between the IRA and other liberation movements?
Chairman, I was far too low down the pecking order. I wasn't making any decisions about where I should be interested in and what I shouldn't be interested in. My activities related to European activities, nothing more. So I wasn't involved, for example, in deciding, I was a young man. I was in my 20s. I wasn't involved in deciding, let's do this and I wasn't involved in any of that, in any way, shape, or form.
And did you do this work on a full-time basis?
Yes.
So you were, I think you indicate, were you did you serve at all in the army from 1972 to 76?
I served in the army and in military intelligence.
Is military intelligence that part of the British Army, or was it
Correct.
separate? Okay. And that was up until 1976.
76, 77, somewhere around there. It's a long time ago.
And did you leave voluntarily?
Yes.
Did you leave the army? And to do what?
I then went and studied engineering.
Okay. So when you did you join the army, or were you recruited?
I joined.
And was that shortly after you left college or school?
No, it was after I left school. I hadn't got any tertiary education at that stage. In fact, I started my tertiary education while I was serving. I realized that actually, this type of work wasn't for me. And I started looking at other areas, and I took an interest in electronic engineering, and then I went into electrical engineering.
So in that period when you were in the army and in counterintelligence or intelligence, you were just a low-level operative.
Very low level.
And then subsequent to that, when you then became involved, you went to college?
Correct.
Yeah. And you studied engineering, you indicated?
Correct, Chairman.
And was it from 1984 that you became interested or took an interest or engaged in property development?
In fact, while I was at IBM, I was in property management at IBM in building services. And IBM was expanding quite rapidly. So we were in the process of buying properties for that expansion. And in about 1984, I realized that there were other opportunities in the property arena, and I decided to pursue those. and I left IBM.
Now, in 1989, that was pre-democracy, and we still had an apartheid government in place. Did you come to South Africa to only expand your property interests, or for what reason did you come to South Africa?
In fact, Chairman, in late 1988, the property market in the UK collapsed. And when the property market in the UK collapsed, I already had investments elsewhere in the world. And I'd been to South Africa several times for holiday. And I liked the country, I liked the weather, I liked the people. And I decided I'm going to invest in property here, and that's what I did.
Did you have any connection or relationship with any persons, organizations, or the army or the police that were involved at that time in 1989 when you came here?
None whatsoever, Chairman.
Did you know, or were you connected to anybody in any of the security forces at the time?
None whatsoever, Chairman.
Okay. Okay. Is there anything else you want to mention or indicate to us that doesn't involve your own personal background or your family, which you may think would jeopardize or compromise your safety, that you would want to mention to the Honourable Committee?
None, Chairman. I came here as a tourist, not a terrorist. I came here as a tourist. I like the country. I like the people. I met people that I became friendly with. And I took a decision that it was a nice country and a country where it would be good to invest, and that's what I did.
So you came here purely for the reason that it was a good investment destination.
Correct, Chairman.
And to make money.
Well, you're always in business, you want to make money,
Yeah.
but not always make money. But yeah, I came to, I liked the country and I wanted to live here. By that stage, I only had a couple of children and we grew our family here.
Now at paragraphs, if we could just go back to the affidavit. In paragraph 6 and 7, you described your professional background in property development, investment, and then you moved to South Africa in 1989.
Correct.
Okay. Is there anything specifically so that we can move on, in paragraph 6 or 7, that you want to highlight?
I mean, by the time I came to live here, I already owned property here. I purchased property already. And it's pretty much what I've said in the statement.
Okay. Honorable Madam.
No, Chair, just for clarity, when you say military intelligence, you mean military intelligence section 6?
I can't hear what's being said, Chairman.
He is asking you about military intelligence. He says it is section 6.
I don't understand the question, Chairman.
My question is, when you refer to military intelligence, you refer to MI6?
No, Chairman.
Didn't mention MI6.
So you were never a member of MI6?
No, Chairman.
Honorable Skosana.
Chair, I guess the honorable member wants clarity on that, and I make a follow-up. Maybe, is it MI6 or MI5?
military intelligence.
Which we are talking about?
It was military intelligence, Chairman.
Which one?
Military intelligence.
Yeah, but which one?
What do you mean,
Where?
which one? It was
Where?
military intelligence.
Where?
In the UK.
But it's MI5 or MI6 or is something else?
Chairman, there's a complete misunderstanding in the members' knowledge of how MI6 and MI5 are organizations which are separate entity to military intelligence altogether. So, it's not, it's not my job to come here and try and have a training course on how it all fits.
No. In fact,
I work in military intelligence.
Chair, we do respect. We do our research, Ms. Paul or Sullivan, because really, hence we were talking about the issue whether you attended university or college. In your biography, there's nothing. You can't come here and lecture us about MI6. We know what we are talking about. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. Mr. O'Sullivan, just before we move to another section, do you have any training or did you have any training prior to coming to South Africa in forensic investigation?
No. When you say forensic investigation, perhaps I should qualify that, because obviously I had training in investigation, but not forensic investigation. I had training in investigation, but it was a different type of investigation, because you were investigating, for example, people's backgrounds and stuff like that, but I didn't have any forensic training. I got the forensic training that I have now whilst I was living in South Africa.
Okay. So the forensic, if you could describe it as such, for training that you did have was while you were in the British Army or in the intelligence section of the Army.
Correct, Chairman.
Was that basically just to spy on people?
No, I was never a spy, Chairman. So there's a complete misunderstanding if you think military...
No, I'm just asking, please help me.
I was
surveillance and spying, is it different?
So we were engaged in counter-terrorist activities and counter-surveillance. So it was more like trying to find out people that were spying rather than, being a spy yourself. I was never a spy.
But you had to spy on those people to find out whether they're spying on you.
No, but you never spied on them, you see. You never had to spy on them to find out. You would get information and you would follow up on that information.
I think what certainly speaking for ourselves as evidence leaders and perhaps also the honourable committee members is just, we're just curious to know what really gave you an appetite to investigate people and to inquire into their backgrounds and so on prior to coming to South Africa and making this your home?
So I never really had that appetite, Chairman. The appetite was developed during my short-lived relationship with the then Commissioner of Police, Jackie Salebi, which we'll come into later. But the reality is, before that incident, I never had any appetite whatsoever. Of course, I was a police reservist. And as a police reservist, Chairman, I did all the necessary training and became proficient in investigating murder and robberies and fraud. And as a policeman, you are expected to be able to investigate these crimes and get to the bottom of it. And that's set out in my commendations. In 1994, I received Police Officer of the Year award in Johannesburg. Not for spying, for investigating crime and getting to the bottom of it.
But you did become a police reservist shortly after you arrived in the country in 1990.
Yeah, I think
You
I'm
arrived in
about a year.
1989.
Yeah, yeah.
So just before we get to that section, which you have touched on already on being a police reservist, which is from paragraphs 14 through to 20, you discuss it there. Just before that, you held a number of positions in property entities, portfolios, your role at Sage Properties, then called Eastern Province Building Society. You managed property portfolio and security. And yeah, so just describe that to us briefly, just perhaps before we take the lunch break.
It was very simple. Property development is what it was. I think we developed a few hundred houses. So you buy the land, you have to get it promulgated, you have to get the land rezoned, you have to get architects, what they call a site development plan drawn up. So you use architects for that and town planners and surveyors. You get all the approvals, and once you get the approvals, you go to market and you sell the houses and you build them. And I think we did one or two small shopping centers as well, and a few small office developments and a few what we call mini industrial developments. And you do that with the intention to make a profit. And then I ended up with Sage Properties, and with Sage Properties, we were involved in managing property portfolios, which by its very nature involved the managing of the building services, the architectural services, the refurbishment, replacing the elevators, all that sort of stuff which goes with property management. And it complemented my work in the police, because one of the problems we had in downtown Johannesburg in those days was the spiraling levels of crime. And we started taking initiatives to reduce those levels of crime, and I got quite heavily involved in that, and that led to the formation of the Johannesburg Central Community Policing Forum. With the new Police Services Act, it was the government had taken a view that there should be community policing forums. So at that time, Sage Properties were a substantial property owner in Johannesburg, and we got involved and we formed the Community Policing Forum. For my sins, I was elected the chairman of that Community Policing Forum. And I set about, obviously voluntary work, but I set about doing it in a way that led to reduce crime in the city centre of Johannesburg. We did a number of initiatives. One was installing cameras in the streets. Another was we created a thing called a crime prevention incentive scheme, where there would be awards issued, not bribes, but awards issued in the form of shopping vouchers and stuff like that for the policing in certain sectors that were able to reduce their crime. And we employed a young man to help liaise with the community in those areas, and we were quite successful.
You described that at paragraph 17 of your affidavit.
Yes.
Yeah. So you just jumped a bit, because I want to just briefly also deal with your volunteer work as a reservist, which you mentioned earlier, that your secretary's husband, a certain Major Edwards, in SAPS had heard of your background, persuaded you to join South African Police Reserve. And before we deal that, Honourable Chair, is this a convenient point to take the lunch adjournment?
I want us to recover 15 of the 20 minutes that we lost. So it's until 1:15.
Thank you, Chair. So at paragraph 14, you talk about your joining the South African Police Service as a reservist. Can you just discuss that? That's from paragraph 14 onwards.
Yes, so I did my training at Halfway House, which is now Midrand. And the reason I did my training there was because Major Edwards was the station commander at Halfway House. And after I finished my training there, they said there was a shortage of detectives in Boysons. And I was asked, would you mind to work from Boysons? And I said, no, that's fine. So I then went to work from Boysons, and I spent 5 or 6 years working at Boysons. And during that period, we got quite active. I made some really good friendships with the other police officials there in Boysons. In 1993, I think it was, or 1994, all of a sudden one day the roof started leaking and the water came running in, destroyed all the carpets and everything. And we couldn't get Public Works to come and fix the roof. So I got a contractor that I knew to come and fix the roof. And then I got new carpets in and repainted the building because, you know, we wanted to make the place nice. On a Friday afternoon, I used to go to King Pie and buy 48 pies, because if you could buy the pies for 3 rand each, but if you bought a dozen, you could get a dozen. I think they were 2 rand each, but if you bought a dozen, they were 20 rand. So I would go and buy a few packets of these pies and share them out, you know. So it was a bit of camaraderie. And then after 1996, I got shot on duty. I was hit 3 times. I was quite badly injured. So that injuries resulted in hospitalization, and I had to have part of my spine reconstructed. And for a while after that, I wasn't engaged in physical policing, you know, so you couldn't afford, for example, to get involved where you arrest a suspect and he puts up a fight. So I then transferred to what was then called John Forster Square, and I worked in the fraud unit there. And while I was working at John Forster Square, I became unhappy with seeing this statue of John Forster sitting in the entranceway every time you enter there. So in 1997, I brought a petition to the provincial government in Gauteng. At the time, Jessie Duarte, God rest her soul, she was the provincial MEC for safety and security. And I brought the petition to her to change the name of John Forster Square to Johannesburg Central Police Station. And anybody going to Johannesburg Central Police Station today, at the entranceway, you'll see there's a brass plaque where in September 1997, the name of the station was changed. And my name is on that brass plaque as having been the chairman of the Community Policing Forum as well. So by this stage, I'd also been working at the Police Training Centre, where I'd been requested to provide lectures. So I lectured in criminal law A and B. I lectured in police administration. on electing crime investigation and the preparation of sworn statements. And I did that for a number of years. And I think it's mentioned there in paragraph 16 that in 1997, one of our students was Cyril Ramaphosa, who's today the president of South Africa, but then he wasn't even a politician, he was a businessman. And he sat in on the training course that I was running. And we subsequently issued, because he was a very good student. In fact, I remember one of the modules I had to train the student police officials on was the Constitution. Now, the Constitution had only been issued in 1996, and now we're in 1997. And it was very important that these police officials should understand.
Sorry, just so that we can just plate the photograph. It's if we could get some help to plate Annexure A54 of the Annexure bundle. Who was doing it? I don't know, it looks like there isn't anyone to assist us. But it's at page 54 of the Annexure bundle, Honourable Chair, Honourable Members.
Chair, the evidence leader wants a thing to be flighted there. Can we please see that?
It's at A54 and paragraph 16 of the affidavit. So while we waiting there, may we proceed, Honourable Chair? Maybe we could 54, A54. So, if I may, in the meantime, continue, Honourable Chair. It's related to that. Can I ask you to look at A53? South African Reserve Police Service, Houghton House Reserve Training Centre. It's dated 26 June 1997. Dear Sir, Detective Sergeant Paul Robert O'Sullivan, the force numbers there. The above name has been lecturing at this establishment and external courses since 1993. Currently lectures in the following subjects. You've mentioned this: the Constitution and police ethics, police administration and procedures, crime investigation, and scenes of crime, the Criminal Procedures Act, Criminal Law A and B, statement taking. So is it in the course of doing that you also trained, amongst others, our president?
That's right, Chairman. During the period from 93 till about 2000, I trained 1,500 police reservists in Johannesburg. And at one stage, which was in 1997, the course that we ran, there would be about between 30 and 40 students on each course. And the courses would normally last about 3 months. And that would entail, I was only responsible for the lecturing side of it, which would entail three sessions in the evenings and one session on a Saturday. So I had to train these various police reservists. And one day I was quite surprised to find that one of the students sitting there was Cyril Ramaphosa. Now, I'd already met Cyril Ramaphosa previously because I'd met him at Wandi's place in Soweto. So I knew him already, and now he's suddenly a reservist or a reservist in training. And it was quite funny, really, because I remember one day I got, when you lecture, you don't just give a lecture and then leave it there. You give a lecture and then you have to ask questions. You have to get interaction with the students. And when I lectured these students, I would say, has anybody got any questions about this? Now, one of the areas we lectured on, as is mentioned here, is the Constitution and police ethics. And the Constitution was new at that time. And my area of interest, insofar as these students was concerned, was the Bill of Rights, because I wanted to make sure that we wouldn't be training police reservists who wouldn't understand the rights of citizens.
What training did you yourself receive in the Constitution or in relation to the Constitution and lecturing on the Constitution and ethics?
So I'd been to the police training center in Paarl. It's actually not far from here, where I had the detective training and training of that nature. And then when the Constitution came out, I sat down, I can't remember the guy's name now, but I sat down with a constitutional lawyer in Johannesburg because I wanted to understand the Constitution. And the reason I wanted to understand it is because I wanted to make sure that the new police officials we were training would understand that the citizens of the country had rights that they previously didn't have. And the sort of things that bothered me as a policeman would be when I saw a person being arrested, that they used to assault them. And that worried me. It wasn't something I liked to see. And in one case, I can remember in 1994, I arrested an individual who had murdered a woman. And while he was in my custody, 2 police officials wanted to assault him. So I had to actually tell them that if they assault my prisoner, I'm going to arrest them. And that was problematic. But I decided to take a strong approach to that. So when I trained the reservists, I made sure that those reservists understood that if they breached the constitutional rights of any suspect, they themselves could face criminal prosecution. So I got myself up to speed on that. But the point I was making was when I lecture, I then get feedback from the students to make sure they understand what I'm saying. So I would give them an example and I would say, if so-and-so happened, would that be correct? And they would say yes or no, depending on what the example was I would give them. And then I would say, have any of you got any queries now? Do you understand everything? Do you have any questions? And one student popped out a question. I can't remember what the question was, but it was about constitutional rights, because that was the only area we were looking at. We weren't looking at the rest of the Constitution. We were primarily concerned with arrested and detained persons and the rights of prisoners. And he popped the question out like that. And I turned round and I asked another student, what do you think the answer is to that? And then I thought, oh, but I've got Cyril sitting here. So I point to Cyril. I said, Cyril, do you agree with that? And he said, why are you asking me? I said, because you were involved in the drafting of the Constitution.
That's him on the screen.
Pardon me?
It's him on the screen.
Yes. So I was a bit younger then. I had some hair. So I asked Cyril, do you agree with his answer? And Cyril said, yes, he's correct. And so that was the sort of thing that we used to deal with.
Okay.
And then at the end of that particular course, everybody gets what they issued with an appointment certificate, which says, okay, you are now a police constable. So Cyril became a police constable. And on every course, if you scroll up again, you can see it's gone now, there's a shield. And actually, I created that shield. I paid for it out of my own pocket. And we used to have a little thing where you engrave the name of the best student. So on each intake of students, I would invite the other lecturers to nominate a student for best student. And bearing in mind, in those days, Cyril was not involved in politics in any way, shape, or form. But he was nominated, and it was agreed that he would be the best student on that particular course. So when we gave him the shield, he keeps it for a year, then he must hand it back. When we gave him the shield, the media were there and the picture was taken. Yeah.
Honorable Nombalo.
Yeah, no, thanks, Chair. I was interested in Mr. Paul O'Sullivan's response regarding the question that the senior counsel has asked. I think the question is, what official qualification did you get in order for you to qualify to train others about the Constitution? Now, the response that I heard is that he met a lawyer and then he asked about the Constitution because he was interested. So is that the only qualification that he got? Because I think the question was about an official qualification that he got that made him to qualify to train others about the Constitution of South Africa. I was interested in the response, but I'm realizing now that the senior counsel is moving on despite the wrong answer that has been given.
Must I answer, Chairman? Chairman, at that stage, there were nobody in the country that had any qualifications in the Constitution. They didn't exist. There were no constitutional lawyers. They didn't exist. There was no constitutional court. It hadn't been formed. So I just wanted to make sure, because I didn't want to train people in aspects of the Constitution, for example, the government and how it all fits together. I was only interested in the Bill of Rights. And I wanted to make sure that the students I was training, the students we were putting out, after they had received their training, that they wouldn't go out on the streets and abuse the constitutional rights of others. So there was no qualification.
You have a law degree. Mr. Paul O'Sullivan, do you have a law degree?
No, Chairman, no. I just learned, I went and sat with a senior lawyer and went through the Constitution and understood for myself exactly how the Constitution would work. And we worked through some examples. And when I had Mr. Ramaphosa, Cyril Ramaphosa, as a student, it was a great opportunity to canvass these issues. And that's what we did.
Okay. Honorable Malema, Honorable Matthys, Honorable Skosana, is your hand still up?
Mr. Paul O'Sullivan, you don't have any qualification to train anyone about the Constitution, even at that time, right?
Didn't hear the question.
You don't have any qualification, and you did not have any qualification to train anyone about Constitution in 1997.
No,
We're talking about you, not everybody, you.
no, Chairman, there was no qualifications then.
No, you did not have.
Okay, Chairman, I had no qualifications to train anybody in the Constitution.
When was the Constitution adopted?
I didn't train them in the Constitution. I trained them on the Bill of Rights.
Oh, la, la. When was the Constitution adopted? The one you are training them on.
What's he saying?
When was the Constitution adopted? The one you are training them on.
In 1996.
Was Cyril not part of the people who were at the center of developing that Constitution?
He was part of the group that drafted the Constitution.
So you were training him on a Constitution that he helped to draft?
Chairman, Cyril had to be trained as a police reservist. He chose to be trained as a police reservist. So, ironically, that training included understanding the Bill of Rights. It didn't I think I made it clear, it doesn't deal with the whole Constitution. It dealt with the Bill of Rights and police ethics. So we had a module on that. And for that, we used to use different examples. And it was ironic that Cyril had to listen to training on the Constitution. But the good news is he agreed fully that the training that the people were getting was correct. And I was quite comfortable with that because it endorsed the quality of the training that we were given to the police students.
Mr. Paul Sullivan, are you suggesting that the president went to write the Bill of Rights collectively with others and only to be trained about the Bill of Rights after putting it into the Constitution?
Well, Chairman, I think that we're playing word games here. The reality of the situation is that in order to be a police reservist, you have to go through a little tick box exercise. You have to get trained on this, you have to get trained on that, you have to get trained on this, you have to get trained on that. Even if you were part of the people that wrote it, you're now coming into a system where it has to be demonstrated that you've had that training. So, yes, it was quite a strange situation for me, because clearly Cyril Ramaphosa knew a lot more about the Constitution than I did. But the reality is that's where it worked.
Before I take Honorable Mathis and Honorable Skosana, Mr. Paul O'Sullivan, Mr. Paul O'Sullivan, is it difficult for you to say Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa or President Cyril Ramaphosa?
I'm sorry, Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa. He's now the president. At that point in time, it was Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa. He's now the Honorable President.
Okay. Honorable Mathis.
It's also on the training, even the training of the police reservists. I thought we should just get clarity. Mr. O'Sullivan said he trained at the police academy or training center in Paarl. When did he graduate from there? Because he's now training even our reservists. So, and was the training to be able to train, or he just got?
I don't hear what she said.
Okay, my question, Mr. O'Sullivan, is this. You've indicated that you attended training at the police academy or the police training center here in Paarl. Am I correct?
Chairman, I went on a train the trainer course where we were trained to train.
So, yes, so that's what I'm asking. So I'm asking, when did you qualify? How long did it take? How long was that course?
A three-month course.
Okay, thank you. And then you were qualified after 3 months to train other reservists.
The course was a train the trainer course.
Well,
So
after 3
I was
months.
trained to train.
Okay. And it was a 3-month course at an academy in Paarl, the SAPS Academy in Paarl. Is that what you're saying?
Don't know what the question is, Chairman.
The duration of your course, was it 3 months at the SAPS Academy in Paarl?
That's correct, Chairman.
Honorable Skosan.
So, Chair, I just want to find out from Mr. O'Sullivan, training for 3 months make you to qualify to train others to get certificate or diploma. After you train them, what they were getting?
Chairman, we're talking about the early 90s.
1997, not early.
I received a certificate that stated I'd been on that course, but I mean, yeah, where that is today, I don't know, because we're talking about more than 30 years ago.
Yeah, but my question is what they were getting after you trained them?
Pardon?
What they were getting after you trained them? Diploma, certificate, or nothing?
They got an appointment certificate. They got a certificate that stated they completed their training. And the certificate included the modules that they've been trained in. And then once they got that certificate, they were issued with an appointment certificate.
So they were getting certificate or what? Is this your daily, like you are attending a seminar after you finish a seminar, they give you something like attendance certificate?
I can't make out what he's saying, Chairman.
So what I'm saying, do you hear me?
I can hear noise, but I can't make out what you're saying.
No, I think
it's coming across distorted. I have a hearing issue, and I can't make out the actual words.
Yeah, I think you need to get some hearing. Otherwise, we're gonna be, repeating the same question over and over again. My issue for you was simple. You trained students, as you say, in 1997. Now, after training, what certificate or diploma, was it 3 months? Were you giving them something, or what was the value of that training? Because yourself, you were not qualified as well. Yourself, you were not qualified. Do you agree?
What is the actual question? I don't understand.
No, it's simple. If you want to understand, the simple question is, those students you trained, where they were awarded a certificate or a diploma?
I've answered, Chairman, that they were issued with a certificate that they had completed their training.
From the unqualified person like you?
What?
You were not qualified to do that, am I right?
I wasn't issuing them the certificate.
Who was issuing them the certificate?
The training center was issuing them the certificate.
But they were trained by you?
No, I only trained them in these areas. They had a lot more training. They had firearms training.
No, but you said here you trained them. That's what you said.
No, what I'm saying is I participated in the training.
We are changing now. You never said you participated.
Okay, let's do this, honorable members.
For clarity, Chair, on record, he said he trained them, not participated.
Okay.
He said,
Thank you, Chair.
he said that he attended training the trainers course in Paarl. And from there, together with other trainers, they went to train the attendees. And so those attendees, some would have been trained by other trainers on firearms. He was training on a constitutional law.
Thank you, Chair. I'm saying he said himself he trained them, not participated. Now he's changing. He said he participated.
Okay, no, it's
Chairman, it's the same thing. I trained 1,500 reservists. I didn't give them firearms training. I didn't train them on how to wear their uniform. I didn't train them on how to salute. I didn't train them on how to march. I didn't train them on how to arrest somebody. I trained them on the administrative items which
you had specific themes that you were training on.
I trained them on the areas that I was trained to train them on, and I trained 1,500 of them.
When we come back from break, there is a hearing device there. You can try it and see if it will not help you. Honorable James.
What did he say? Okay.
Mr. Sullivan? Can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. We are asking you, was the training accredited? Is what we're asking you. We're not asking you if they've received a certificate of attendance. It's like going to school for 12 years and getting a certificate of attendance. We are asking you, was the training that you provided accredited? That's what we're asking you. Can you answer that, please?
Was the training clear?
Ayara, was it accredited?
Credited?
Yes.
Yes, it was accredited by the police, sir.
By the police?
Yes, it was police training. There was a syllabus that was set there, a set of books. Chairman, we're talking about 30 years ago, but there was a set of books which we had to work through. And the books were issued by the police. And they were a syllabus, and you had to take them through the syllabus. And at the end of it, they got a certificate stating that they completed the training. They had to have exams. They passed the exams. If they failed the exams, training was terminated.
Okay.
And by the way, Chairman, I didn't write the books. I just trained them.
Honorable Malem.
Chair, I'm just clarifying that the story that he says he has not trained people, and the way you were summarizing it is incorrect. It's in paragraph 16, where he explains how he was training people, and then he concludes by saying a total of approximately 1,500 students were trained by me, not trained by us, trained by me, in his own words, in his own affidavit. Me.
No, but I don't think you trained them. I trained them. I trained them in the subjects of constitutional police ethics, police administration and procedures, crime investigation, scenes of crime, Criminal Law Procedures Act, Criminal Law A and B, and statement taking. I trained 1,500 reservists in that training.
I agree with you. Unqualified as you are, you trained 1,500. I agree with you. You said that. In crime investigation.
Okay.
Okay. May honorable members, may we rise and take a break. We will come back at 14 hours.